line. What this question really is asking is, do you know the difference between different control structures in a line of code just by looking at it? So don't get too fast with this example about trying to work out exactly what's going on. You're really just asking to identify different control structures. Which control structure does the algorithm contain examples of? I've got here a picture I've got off the internet which shows different control structures. So let's look at the first one here, sequential, A, B, C. So there's just a line of instructions one after the other. We call that sequence. This is actually called sequencing. This is how we're describing it. You could also call it sequential. The other one is conditional decisions. We call this selection. Sequence, selection. So we go A or go down line B. We're making a decision, we're making a selection. Last one, we call this repetition. So repetition is a loop, iteration. We just keep on looping until a condition fails, and then we exit the loop. Loop, 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 until it becomes false, until that condition is exhausted, then we exit out of that. We've done this a lot in learn.code. Let's have a look at the first example. This is just basic sequence, A, then B. So we turn, we go forward, we turn left, we go forward, we turn right, we go forward. And we turn, bang. So we've just followed a whole series of directions. We moved forward, we moved left, we moved forward, we turned right, we moved forward. That's how that works. Now the next example is an example of selection, an if statement. If there's a path to the right, we're going to turn right. We go along here, we move forward, and my repetition, so we've got a bit of repetition with this one, but I just want to focus on this one. If there's a path to the right, we'll actually turn right. Let's see what happens. Now we turn right. Now we turn right again. So that's an example of selection. So we look at the code. Here it is here. I want to focus on this bit of code. If there was a path to the right, that condition was met, we actually turned right. And last is an example of iteration, loops. So we'll repeat, we'll go forward 5 times, then we'll turn left, and then we'll go forward 5 times. So this is actually an example of 2 things, iteration and sequence and iteration again. We have a loop, instruction, and a loop. Go along, and now we follow the sequence. Oh, I got the code wrong. I'm sorry. You get the idea. I'm not sure what I did right then. I turned left, and I should have turned. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll get over it. Now, let's have a look at this example. What one applies in this situation? If we have a look here, what are we looking at? We're looking at this. We're looking at a for loop. So that's a loop. So that's repetition. So anything here that doesn't have repetition is going to be wrong. So B has to be wrong. It doesn't have repetition. It says selection and sequence. B has to be wrong. The other thing we can look at as well, division in itself isn't actually a control structure. There might be division going on. We've got the average temperature and we're dividing it by 7. That's not a control structure. That's part of maybe a procedure or a method. Or it's just part of a process. So basically, you can eliminate that one, or we can eliminate this one. So we're left with 2 more. D says selection and repetition. There's no selection in this code. There's no if-else statement. There's no branching statement. All it is we're declaring a variable, we're going through a loop, we're having a process at the end of the loop. That's it. So there is no selection. So by process of elimination, it has to be sequence and repetition. The answer is C. Sequence, we do this, we loop, we do this, and we end. Sequence and repetition.